So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some things I've been seeing online that's been kind of bothering me. Like,
I'm nervous
what do you mean?
because there's a whole lot you can see online these days.
Yeah, well, okay, so it's a lot of relationship talk
Oh, okay.
online,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like some of it is kind of ridiculous, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. And I mean, maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I kind of just wanted to get your opinion on a few things and see, just pick your brain about some things that I'm
Okay.
saying.
Right.
So, like relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say me and you just met, okay?
I know too much.
And we exchange numbers, right? I get your number and I want to take you out.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cheesecake Factory,
Oh my gosh.
too cheap
I like
for a
Cheesecake
date.
Factory. I don't have a price quota. Like, if I like the food, then I like the food. It doesn't matter the cost.
Okay.
So if I like a restaurant, I like a restaurant, regardless of if it's
So,
$50 a plate or
right, it's not a
whatever.
price tag on it.
No, it's just if I like it, I like it.
Right. So so a prerequisite on what star restaurant that
Mm-hmm.
someone takes you on the first date is a little ridiculous to me
Mm-hmm.
because to me the whole point is for us to get an opportunity to hang out, talk, and get to know each other, right?
That's part of getting to know some of these ladies is knowing that they like 5-star restaurants.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I mean for me that's so I mean what kind of ladies have to go to a 5-star require a 5-star restaurant? Is that a quality person or is that somebody that's just trying to get what they can get, use what they got to get what they get?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for the whole female population,
Yeah,
but I mean, I know what you're talking about. I'm not gonna, say I like. Of course, you see the climate of male feeding male dynamics these days, and it's pretty. I think it's propaganda. But anyway, to answer your question, um, I think there are some ladies who are just used to a certain lifestyle, and I think there are ladies who are looking for a come up
yeah.
and want to be a part of a lifestyle um, that they aren't used to and that they want for themselves. And so they want you to help provide that lifestyle for them. Um, so I think it just depends on the lady. I think it depends on the man too. Because there are men who like only finer things and they think a certain type of female should fit into their high value lifestyle.
Hmm.
And so they have requirements as well. Um,
So I mean I respect that answer, but like I want your opinion. I don't want
I just gave you my opinion.
okay. Well, you said it just depends on the lady, and I'm talking about. But so this conversation is me and you, right?
Hmm.
So when you say hypothetically, well, there's women out here to do this and there's women out here like that. I'm talking about from your perspective. Um, is that okay? I guess you're giving me your perspective. It's like it's just you're not going. You don't have a dog in the fight as far as with that. It's like, I mean, as far as your
I mean, I
daughters.
think
So let me give a little
to
context.
only base it on I only want this price point type of restaurant, or I think that is overkill. I think to say
Yeah.
I will not date you unless you take me to a 5-star restaurant where it's, $150 a plate. That is my bare minimum. I think that's ridiculous.
Okay. So now we're cooking. That's what I'm talking about because that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? And that so just to get it clear in our relationship, I don't think we've ever eaten at McDonald's together. That's never been a date, but we've wide spectrum of experiences in restaurants, from really super nice restaurants to you know what was the name of the restaurant that we got engaged at or our first date?
Fish City Grill.
Yeah, Fish City Grill. This is a nice, it's nice, but it's not $150, plate.
Yeah, it's good hangout food.
Yeah, exactly. So when I think about that, I get it. There are people that different things float that boat. But it just seems to be a more common thing, even for people that maybe might not be used to that type of lifestyle, just want to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was a lot just to to have a dollar amount as far as where we can even start a relationship and
Yeah.
still get to know each other. So also what I'm hearing is that there's money requests before uh even the first date.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But they wouldn't be asking if there wasn't people out there that were willing to do that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think about, as far as like we have two sons and two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't decide because in reality I know it's hard out here for men and women out here in the dating world, what I'm saying? And it's when I think about what type of person I would hope that our kids would end up, you know, uh, what kind of relationship I you would hope that they would end up finding at some point in time. It's I think
It's balance. There's
yeah.
balance to everything. So,
Hmm.
I mean, our kids will be used to certain things, to be honest, but they're they're well balanced kids.
Yeah, so I mean when you saying used to certain things, you're not talking about like you're talking about as far as treatment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you say used to certain things, some people, that can sometimes come across as used to certain lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so for me, whether it's for my sons or for my daughters, I would want somebody that's a quality uh, person with character. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so uh, I wouldn't want my daughters to be with a bum,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you know, 6 figures or less, especially when you're talking about a young man, is kind of ridiculous. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I mean, everyone has the right to their preference. But like for me, it makes it makes for a little bit more of a superficial type relationship.
Yeah.
But to know as far as even gauging, real interest,
Right.
I think it's harder because it's so easy to woo somebody money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, I mean, poker, and not that we should play games with each other. I mean, you should be genuine and honest, but you also don't show your hand. Like, I'm not going to show you my bank statements on the first date, or
That's right.
that's not
It's not wise.
what it's about.
That's right.
And so, I think from a woman's perspective, if you're really thinking logically and you're really thinking about your future and you're thinking about building a family with someone, finances will be a factor, of course, because you want to be able to have a stable foundation for building a family.
Right.
But that also comes with time and development. I think the best relationships come from one, foundationally, people who are spiritually grounded in God, but also you build on a friendship. Like, I'm not gonna go on my girlfriends and be like, girl, if we can't go to a 5 star, then we not friends. Like that, it just sounds ridiculous, Like I'm in the company of my friends because they're good people and I have a great time with them and we have the best conversations. And even after time, we can pick up where we left off. It should be the same thing, even in relationships of the opposite sex, even in romantic interests. You should be able to build a friendship with someone because at the end of the day, there are gonna be ups and downs in every relationship. And so if you have a foundation, something that's stronger than just material things, then you're more likely to last longer. So um I think it's very important to go into it looking at who is this person? Do they make me laugh? Do we have a connection? Do we have chemistry? Even just outside of attraction, you have to look at so many factors. What is their relationship um, with God? Where are they spiritually? And so there's just so many factors that come after five-star restaurant. Like that's very low on the totem
So you
pole of
saying before,
priorities.
like before 5-star restaurants are higher factors that are more important
There are
than
more important
yeah,
things,
right.
and I mean, it's materialistic.
Yeah.
At the end of the
It's
day.
and it's not that uh, wife or someone that you really are in love with is not worth a 5-star meal.
Right.
That's not it at all.
Right.
But to demand that from strangers, I just can't find it in me to where that's reasonable.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you're used to, because you know, uh, when you want to get to know someone, you have to give them that opportunity and meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a lot of ways, you've helped elevate me as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been through all kinds of seasons as far as in our relationship. When we were dating, I know we both were working. You were a career woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we first met at the time, you might have been making a little bit more money than me.
I wouldn't even know. That's the
Yeah,
thing about it.
right. I don't think we ever had a discussion about what's. I need to see your W-2. Did you make 6 figures last year? The answer would have been no if you would have asked me that. But um, the things that I can remember from early on when we were dating is that we had a good time together,
Yeah.
and we both were hardworking people. So I think that it was kind of a given that what, we can make this work from a financial standpoint because we both working,
Mm-hmm.
and so we got more and more, I guess, serious about possibly getting engaged and getting married and stuff like that. It was kind of a situation where we just figured out I figured that we would find a way to make it work for us with finances.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it turned out, what I'm saying, it's turned out okay.
Yeah.
I would say. I think just even looking at our marriage, we've we it was a season. Like I said, you were a career woman when we met, and we got married and we had our first son. You became a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
You were a housewife for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're back in the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
career woman again, entrepreneur. So it's like you've worn every hat that's being discussed out there in the world. As far as for the single people talking about, what I guess what their dream situation would be. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so I mean, did you always, when you thought about marriage, I guess growing up, did you
Mm-hmm.
did you did you see yourself as a career woman that was married doing the 50-50 thing, or
Never thought about growing up like 50-50 thing. I didn't know what that meant. But I always wanted to be married. I always wanted to be a mom.
so just to clarify, 50-50 meaning that you and your husband work and you both pay bills and
Yeah,
you
I mean,
both
I know the mean. I'm just saying I didn't think about that
okay.
at a younger age.
You just thought about being married,
Yeah,
right?
I saw my parents make it work.
Yeah.
I didn't know like percentage
So both
wasn't a
so
thing.
so both of your parents work.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily talking about percentage. I'm talking about both
Yeah,
parties
yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Whereas if you desire to be a housewife and a mother, you always envision your husband being out working and you being with the kids. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think as I matured and kind of that dream kind of evolved with time, I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom when my kids were small. You
Yeah.
know, that's something I really, really, really wanted.
Yeah.
So to me, that I mean, women have this thing called baby fever. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I always had that, and I always worked with kids, and I babysat, and I was a nanny. But I mean, I just love kids to the point where I would get like emotional seeing a baby. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have kids. You know, that sort of like really bad. So it was something I always wanted.
Right.
Um,
So you love the kids, and so you actually, when you started thinking about marriage, really from a more mature standpoint, like you ideally would have wanted to be a housewife.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about it. I remember our conversations early on when
When I
you
ask,
yeah when you were talking to me about it, I'm like, and I don't know nothing about that life either, as far as uh the husband working while the wife stays at home. That's not, that wasn't my experience growing up. Both of my parents worked,
hmm
and both worked 30 some years, and so it was a whole new thing,
yeah,
a
for both
whole
of
new
us.
idea for me as well. But I want to say it was the right thing to do.
hmm
So if you want a family and you really want to build that bond with your kids and be present in the early stages,
Yeah,
it makes sense also because daycare is so expensive. You got multiple kids like we had. I mean, we had back
back
to
to
back.
back
Yeah, so I mean, one of us would have been working just to pay for the
for childcare.
daycare.
I could never imagine like as much as I was attached. Like when I finally got my own, I could not see anybody else being with my child, like my baby. And I mean, no knock against daycare. For me though, it was very much like I just want to be with my babies,
Yeah,
you know. So
and I would say this for me, it was a development process for me to really embrace the role, and I think I matured, and I think I really became more of a man in that time because I had to make up my mind that whatever I got to do to make this money to pay the bills and to take care of everything, I'm gonna do it.
well, you didn't do whatever, but
No, I
but
did,
no,
I
I'm
did, and so
yeah.
and you know what, for that, any man in a relationship with a woman that desires that type of lifestyle, you have to fully embrace it.
Absolutely. I just
And
mean
so,
you did everything legally.
yeah, yeah.
That's all. But
So,
no, I agree with you. You
so
definitely
yes,
you worked really hard. You figured out everything. Like you took care of everything. I didn't have to think about any of that because you're like, okay, if this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, and you made it work.
yeah. So and it really is a decision and a commitment that you just if you it can be done if you take it seriously and
Mm-hmm.
manage it and budget, because that's a big part of it too. When you're
Yeah.
talking about one income, um, you know, for a family. So it's definitely, unless you play in an NBA or something like that, it's definitely sacrifices that have to be made, by
Yes.
the entire family.
Yes.
And so uh, it also was a commitment for you because part of our agreement was that I would take care of making the money, paying the bills, staying on top of everything outside of the house, and that you would take care of everything with the kids in inside our house.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was out grinding out, at the job, and
Doubles and
doing different different ventures to make money or whatever, you definitely were working equally as hard, if not more, at home, making sure that I had the meals when I left the house. I left the house with breakfast, lunch, and dinner many a times because I might be gone all day
mm-hmm.
long, from the sun up to the sun down. I could never say that I was out there without food to eat, and without, you know, the comfort of also knowing that my kids were good and
Mm-hmm.
that the house is good. So, and that's another conversation too, because that kind of goes into the point to where, you have some people that want that lifestyle so they can sit up and do nothing.
Soft life.
And, I'm gonna just be honest, that would have been abusive if I think about our relationship at that time and the way that I was working to
Abusive.
oh yeah, that's the correct word. If that's your son and your son is uh working 80-hour weeks
Mm-hmm.
and that woman of his won't fix him nothing to eat, she won't wash his clothes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And vice versa. Sometimes you have to look at things from the perspective of, if that was my son, if that was my daughter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my boy Ellis used to say, a fair exchange is no robbery.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if I'm gonna make that sacrifice and you gonna make that sacrifice, we can make this work,
Right.
you know? And that's what we came to. And I feel like that's the reason why it worked. And it that season it really accomplished the purpose that we had for it, as far as to be able for you to be able to be with the kids every step of the way
Mm-hmm.
until they were school age, all our kids.
Right. And here's the thing. Like, and I heard, I think it was Michelle Obama talking about how the dynamic with her and Barack, like there are times where you may be at 70% and the other one person is at 30%, or the dynamics are going to shift and change and evolve. And so you see so much of young people these days, like, well, I'm doing this, and it's constantly
Yeah,
measuring, and it's like
it's like a competition or something.
it's going to be give and take. There's
Yeah,
going to be times where you're giving more, and then there's going to be times where your partner's giving more.
yeah,
And I just think it's important to remember, which we all do this because we're human, and it gets very easy to be like, okay, like I'm doing. But what's the end goal? What's the common goal? As long as we're getting to the goal, yeah, I'm not gonna be the team captain all the time running the plays. Like I can't
right. Me
carry the,
neither.
you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like I have to support you, you have to support me
Right.
in order to make it work. Because at the end of the day, we're both human, and we're both gonna have bad days. We're both gonna have days where I need you to be stronger, you need me to be stronger, and
Yeah.
sometimes we gonna have to get out of our feelings. Um, and that can be hard to do, but it's doable if the common goal is one, we're in this together and we're staying in this together. And two, we have a mission and vision for this family that is bigger than my feelings right now, that is bigger than, this struggle at this time, because it won't always be this struggle.
So yeah, my,
Yeah.
my thought on the 50-50, 100% is that, especially early on in a relationship, the idea should be 50-50. We should both be trying to meet each other as far as effort in a relationship. And so um, I know for us, I always plan to pay on every date that we ever went on.
Hmm.
And it was really a nice gesture when you paid for the date for the first time. Just the thought that, what, hey, we both working. You got me the last couple times. Let me get you this time.
Hmm.
That really, it stuck out to me about as far as what type of person you are, what type of character you have, and what our relationship was.
Hmm.
That let me know that it wasn't just about what I can do for you. It was also what we can do together. And just like I got your back, you got my back. And yeah, it might have just been, the meal for the night or whatever, but it was already pointing to the idea that you are a team player.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as like even with our money, like even though I paid, the bills and things like that, it was always an open discussion about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like where we're at. And so when you're talking about like that common goal and common, I would say understanding, like that's important too because from day to day, week to week, your that status can change. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and everything can we have seasons of ups and downs. You know, uh, and I'm speaking financially now. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? That there's times where we have to really kind of buckle down, and then there's times where it's like, you know what, hey, let's go do something special. You know what I'm saying? But that communication is important because I've also seen relationships that were like ours where the man was working and the wife was at home, and if you at home spending money that we don't have
Mm-hmm.
because
You think you deserve it, or
yeah, that, or you just are unaware that right now we're in a tight spot.
mm-hmm.
That can that brings about tension. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And especially for that person that's working hard for the money, and when you consider your partner being somebody that's wasting, what I mean, the thing, wasting,
Resources,
yeah, wasting resources, and you don't have much. That can be a huge issue, but that could also be your fault if you're not communicating, where you at. So I think also the constant communication that we had about, things and issues, like you can't be in a relationship for a long time with somebody you can't talk to.
right?
It's not that, and we've had our challenges in communication. You've told me more than a few times that not what you say is how you say it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we've had by no means is our communication perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or our relationship perfect. But at the end of the day, when things need to be discussed, we find a way, put it out there so we can have an understanding. And so, I really feel like for us with each season, from when we first met to you, being a stay-at-home mom and now being back in the workforce, the communication and being on the same page and having an idea of where we at and where we're trying to go, it's kept us like-minded. And I can appreciate the fact that you were willing to be patient on uh new countertops or a new couch because you understood that, what I mean, I'm making a sacrifice, what I'm saying, by being at home. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, you know, because it's give and take.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people too come across online as if they just want it all.
Mm-hmm.
They want every single thing that they dream of with no, they're not taking no concession,
Mm-hmm.
nothing less. I'm not settling, right? And in reality, I don't understand that because in life, it's not about settling, but some things are going to, relationships are compromise. You have to be able to compromise.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody that says it's got to be like this, like everything, is somebody that I would see as just not understanding. Somebody that's it's got to be that way for nothing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when I see that and I hear that, I'm like, wow, man. People are really selfish in a dating world now. It seems like.
Well, there's nothing new under the sun, honestly. Uh, I mean, there was a saying way back before, us, even songs and love songs, worship the ground they walk on. With human nature wants worship. And what that looks like in the form of relationships is you serve my every need, right? Like, and I don't think it clicks for people, especially if you're not spiritually aligned, that we have one God. My husband is not my God. Your wife is not your God. They're not for you to worship and to just cater to and bow down and give everything at the altar of your relationship.
Right.
That's not.
It's unhealthy.
It's all
It's
it's going to
idolatry.
set both of you up for failure.
Yeah.
And
So
so for me to want all the things because it fulfills some deep missing piece of who I am, which is for God to fulfill, we're looking for that in a mate.
mm,
And that is, yeah, it's idolatry.
hmm
And so I can't demand anything of you that I'm not giving to God.
yeah.
I can't expect anything
What do you
from
mean not giving
human,
to God? What do you mean by that?
my all. Like, I have to, everyone has to check their heart. Everyone has to keep stock of their heart. So I can't demand anything of one person that I don't even meet those requirements.
That's all I see online. It's
Right.
people, broke people talking about the next person that they don't have time for somebody that ain't in a whole nother bracket than they are.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's yeah.
But yeah, we just have to be careful of wanting to be worshipped and
So
disguising that as wanting to be loved. Yeah, you everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants fulfillment and companionship. Mm. But
social media has made that more prevalent too because
shine the light
it's
on it.
so it's so easy to to perceive the likes and the comments and the hearts
Oh, as
as
love.
love or
Yeah.
as in a way it is worship. I think
Hmm.
about there's people that that on social media all day long and they're looking at people and they're admiring them and they're on their pages for hours.
Hmm.
That's worship.
Hmm.
You post a picture and you got 2 million hearts and oh baby you're so beautiful from
Hmm.
strangers.
Hmm.
And this is every time you post a picture.
Yeah, it strokes your ego, strokes your flesh.
At a certain point, this is worship. This is
Hmm.
attention. This is overstimulation.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the social media is taking it to a whole nother level because you know, we can take some of these strangers' hearts and comments to heart,
Hmm.
and maybe take for granted, the people that are really in our life for real, and
Hmm.
they really do care, and they really do know us and know that we're not just a picture.
Hmm.
We're not just a body. You know what I mean? Um, we're people.
We're
You know,
complex.
yeah.
There are, yeah, there are depths and layers and nuances that um, can only be explored and discovered when you are in relationship with people.
Yeah.
Social media isn't real life.
Say it again. Man. Yeah. And it's. I mean, do you have anything else to add on the stay-at-home mom topic, or the versus the career woman topic? I mean, it's not necessarily a versus, but it's just. Uh, I mean, it's a lot of talk about this online,
Yeah.
and of course, we've had conversations about like the housewife thing and how what a normal husband and wife relationship where somebody's not an athlete or a multimillionaire entertainer or something like that, billionaire,
Hmm.
that it's not the same lifestyle as. Desperate Housewives of Atlanta, or
Yeah,
still
no, it's work.
like it's real in the field. It's work,
It's work.
right?
When you're talking about babies, small babies, like getting up with them at night. It's not sleeping in, it's getting up with them.
It's work.
It's
Yeah,
work.
right.
It's like you say, you have meals. So I was getting up cooking. I was washing dishes. I was doing laundry. I was nursing babies, and I mean, there were some of the those were the best years. I mean, they were hard work, but and it's such a different dynamic, and you see it even sometimes with women, like the discussion of which one is harder, and they're both hard.
Yeah.
Like they're both hard. And now that the kids are older and I'm back in the workforce, it's hard. It's
Hmm.
hard being away from home, and it's hard not being able to go on field trips, and it's hard rushing home and still trying to get dinner done, or now there's sports and practices and pickup and this kid, and hey, can you get this one, and hey, we need this, and
It's
it's
nonstop.
it's nonstop. But same, with babies. When you have three little lives depending on you, um, that is
So,
work.
yeah, so I'm glad you said that because the whole conversation I wanted to have it because I wanted you to give clarity because I don't hear enough voices from real women that have actually done it, that are
Mm-hmm.
doing it. I hear a lot of people talking that are talking from
Mm-hmm.
a hypothetical standpoint, and the idea of the housewife being the soft life, meaning that you're not working, meaning that you're not exerting yourself. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
think for someone that uh, it's just on on the internet talking about what kind of relationship they have and what they want to have when they have kids, and it has to be like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think that there's an accurate portrayal or description being laid out and presented to the public as
Yeah.
to what that really looks like in a real relationship, not a a VH1 fairy tale
Scripted reality
on
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so, and that's and I think that's where you have a huge value, babe, because you've been there and you've done that on every side. And what I feel is that it's not enough real voices, talking about what the expectation. Oh, you want to be a housewife? You want to be a housewife, but you don't want to cook.
Mm-hmm.
You want a maid.
Mm-hmm.
So, the soft life for you is I wake up, I do whatever I want to do. The maid takes care of the kids, the chef cooks.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym, then I go meet with my girls and have martinis and call and check in on the kids and
Yeah,
everything.
there was none of that.
I, you know,
There was
and,
none of that.
and
I
you
will say I did meet up with my girls, but it was Tuesday morning Bible study, and some of those ladies
come
are
on now.
still in my life now. A lot of them actually, and I miss those. Those are the best days, only because they were other Black women in the same position I was. They, had hardworking husbands, good family structure. We would bring all the babies and all the things, and we'd put them in, the nursery for a little bit so we could have our 2 hours at Bible study time, and we would just share and laugh, and that was our time. And then we'd pack up the babies and go on about our day. But it's being a stay-at-home mom is also very much intentionality. And when our kids were little, I had all the learning stations up. We went to the library. It wasn't just wake up and do whatever. I wanted my kids to have early childhood education that I was a part of, that I structured for them, that, they learn little scriptures and they watch veggie, whatever. But it was very important for us to develop them.
Yeah, that was part of the agreement.
Mhm.
You really sold me on the whole idea.
That's what I always wanted. And so it is something that you really want. and
Right.
it's something that you're really passionate about and
Yeah.
that you care about, not just popping out, not just the idea
Right.
of
Yes.
housewife and babies.
Yes.
It's really an intentional, it's a really a heart desire. It's a God desire. I think it's a God desire.
No, it definitely is because it's service. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And I feel like in a real relationship, you everyone is serving each other.
Mhm.
You know, and that's unselfish. And not that. Um, well, yeah, that's unselfish. And so, you do what you need to do. I think about this too. There's a whole new, uh, a lot of traditional like values and roles are kind of frowned upon now. And I
Yeah.
think about in our relationship, man, it would not have worked without clearly defined roles and who's gonna do what. And that kind of goes into what I was talking about as far as the communication too. Like when you're on the same page and I got this and you got that, it's just more efficient.
Yeah.
It's for for me and you to be in a relationship and just randomly day to day, depending on how you feel, we pick who does what on the just on the fly on the whim. That sets you up for one to have things slip through the cracks and never get done. But then also, you know, it also will put you in a position to really pay more attention to what I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it seems like I'm the one always taking the initiative, And so the competitive stuff, I think it also eventually just makes more of a competition because, it's just human nature. If you with somebody and it's you kind of just going at it. There's no real understanding of what's what and what we doing.
Yeah.
Then if we rate two people raised in two different households, got two different temperaments, got two different work ethics.
Right.
That if we just gonna assume that you're gonna be doing things at my speed, you're gonna be doing whatever, and putting the same effort that I am. That's more than likely not gonna work out.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
and not to paint like, of course that was just the perfect time, because there are times where you miss adult interaction. Of course, as a stay-at-home mom, there are
right.
times that we're very lonely, which is why I sought out other ladies, which is why we went to library reading groups. But
So that's one of the downsides of it. That's one of
I
the
wouldn't say a downside.
challenge.
It's a challenge that you have to mature through. Just
Yeah,
like you said, you had to mature through taking on sole responsibility of all
that's
the
right.
bills. It's like there were certain things in that period that developed you as a man, and there are certain things in that period that developed me as a woman.
Hmm.
And so it, yeah, there were super lonely times, and on top of having babies and postpartum, and all the things, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with all these things that I think I think at that time that's what drew me so much closer to like God, is because I'm like, there were moments where like, I don't know.
Yeah, I could. So I do remember.
I don't know if
I
this is
remember
gonna
coming
work.
home, and I'm tired as hell because I didn't been at work all day. I've been grinding, right? And you come home, and it's almost like you was waiting on. You was waiting on me because
I didn't have any adults to talk
you ain't talked
to a grown.
to to an adult all day. So it's hey babe, you talking, you catch me up to speed on this, and that. And I trust me, baby. I mean, I wouldn't I definitely was interested in what you
But
had
I
to
mean,
say, but it was just from my standpoint, I'm like, man, I'm finna eat and lay it down. You know
yeah,
what
it's
I'm
two
saying?
different worlds. Like I don't know what it was like in your world taking on that,
Right.
and you couldn't really, you know, fully 1,000% understand my world because, but
It's
we
a
have to,
sacrifice.
it's sacrifice, and not just that, it's trust.
Mhm.
I have to trust and be okay with, I know you're doing what you say you're doing. I know you're upholding your end of the bargain that we decided for ourselves.
That's right.
You have to trust that I'm doing my best to hold up my word and my end of the bargain. So even though I don't completely relate to what it is you got going on, and sometimes I can give you side eye like you finna go hang out or you finna get out, and I'm like, must be nice.
Yeah.
But I have to trust that like you need that time, just like you have to trust like
Right.
I needed mine,
Yeah.
and there were times where it was overwhelming. And there were times I'd be like, look,
Yeah.
but we, like you said, we communicated through those things, we worked through those things. And yeah, it's you just got, you have to make it a conscious decision to make it work.
Yeah.
Because it just,
When you commit to something, that's where you really focus in and hone in on getting to that final destination. And so the in betweens are, it's gonna be highs and lows. It's gonna be good times and challenging times. But uh, when you committed to it, you in for a long haul. And so
yeah.
it's easier for me, for sure, when it's settled in my mind. I think sometimes when, there's things that we kind of go back and forth on, like, I, one example could be trust, like you're talking about, as far as with trusting your partner. If you go back and forth on that, that's that's hard on a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and forth on your commitment, like
Mm-hmm.
you say you're gonna do this, but then now it's a problem every you know,
Every chance you get, you're complaining about
you're
something.
complaining
Yeah.
about it all the time. It's something about being settled. Like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna commit to it, and I'm not gonna not waver. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's just the new generation too. It's kind of just everything is how I feel,
Right. And if it don't feel good, I'm out.
and that's unfortunate because you
Mm-hmm.
can't. No one has ever been in a relationship for a long time
Mm-hmm.
that has obeyed their feelings all the time.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Knowing what you know now, knowing who I am, knowing how you are, would you do this all over again?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I would. Honestly, baby, and knowing you, like I do, I think there's only one way I could answer that question. But I'm being honest when I say I would. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. I mean, even the mistakes, even looking back and thinking about some things that maybe I shouldn't have did that, or maybe I could have done this better, or whatever. It's all a learning process. You
It's
know,
all learning. But there are things maybe I wish I
I
could have handled better.
I've learned a lot, and grown a lot, and so you know, without those mistakes, sometimes you don't know how. A lot of growth can come from your mistakes,
Absolutely. Growth should come from you.
and so I wouldn't change anything. I think we've learned a lot. I think that honestly, some of the toughest challenges that we had to endure and persevere through really made our relationship. You know, I hear people talking about, wanting, like I said, the whole being a housewife and you need to pay all my bills and all that. When I think about the fact that, what I'm saying, we did that and we lived that.
Before it was like a social media thing too.
Yeah, yeah, we did that and lived that. But you know what I'm saying, it was a mutual sacrifice for us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And like people talking, they don't know, you know what I mean? They just thinking about the the good side of it and
Mm-hmm.
not understanding that, you know what, You remember when that AC went out, baby? That summer,
Yeah. Wait.
we had two babies in the
In the
house.
first house? Yeah.
We had two babies in the house.
Yes.
So we had
Small
three
babies.
kids, the two babies in the house, and I mean
I was like,
the
okay.
AC went out in the summer.
Yeah.
And I remember I told you, I said, baby, you can just why don't you go to Houston with the babies? Go until I figure this out. Why don't y'all go where some AC at? You remember what you told me?
I was like, we'll be all right. I'm not going. We'll stay here.
I knew I had a noble soldier. I knew, look here, I knew then that I had you. You was really the one, baby. Now I know we was already married and everything, but I'm saying
With
that
two kids.
that
And
right
that was
there,
it.
I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to go get this damn money, and I'm getting ready to get this AC for this girl because she just told me we good.
We'll be
I'll
all
be
right.
we I we'll sweat it out. We ain't gonna we'll be all
Open the
right.
windows. Babies running around in diapers.
Man, we had the windows open. Like it's Texas heat, 100 and whatever
It was.
degrees.
I don't even remember it being that bad, honestly.
Yeah, you. I knew I had a real one after that, baby. And that's what I'm saying. Like these people have this idea about relationships, like make me happy, pay all my bills, take care of me. Just I want to live the soft life, like this perfect life. And then when it's
That would
not,
be nice.
and then when it's not that, it's hell or something's wrong.
Yeah.
But in reality, you build the strongest bond. You know what I'm saying, through the challenges.
Through trials.
Like, yeah, we had some great times, baby. We done some things. I think about like, man, we got too many, you know what I'm saying, great memories and things that we did
Right.
and accomplished things. You know what I mean? But when I think about some of the things that we persevered through, like endured,
Mm-hmm.
that's that strengthens our bond to me more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the that affirms and confirms that our love is true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can laugh and joke with anybody,
Right.
but can you really be down for somebody when they're going through something and they're not their best version of themselves,
Right.
or when the circumstances is not great and you got options.
Right.
You can go do something else. You can get up and go to Houston and leave him to go to work and come home and and sweat it out in the hot
By
house,
himself.
and
Yeah.
you can be good.
It's not fair.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I asked you to do
Well, yeah, you wanted us
it,
to, and
but
that's the heart of a leader too. Like you don't want to put those who are you are in charge of their protection. You're in charge
that's
of
right.
their well being. You don't want them to go through things, and
That's right.
so you will make the sacrifice to make sure that they're good.
Yeah,
But that shows your character too. So
yeah.
it's like,
And that's what I say. I feel like, man, some of these conversations are so superficial that it's like, man, people. It's almost like the Bible say that the love will grow cold or whatever in these
mm,
last days or whatever. It's like, man, people like you completely missing it, like stuff that you people are placing such a high priority on and valuing. It's like when I think about our relationship, it's like the stuff that's like, I mean, it's money is important,
it
right?
is.
And we talked about, like I said, I eventually, have become someone that what I'm saying can make earn a lot of money,
Mm,
6 figures.
mm,
But you know what? We were together, and you were a stay at home mom, and I wasn't making 6 figures then, and we made it work. We didn't miss no meals. We ate
mm,
good. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
And we lived a good life. You know what I mean? And so I also say that as an encouragement to somebody out there that's trying to do it like the way we did it.
But we built together.
We built together.
We
It was
built. That's like you said. Some of those trials, and at the time, we didn't even see it as trials, but some of the longest relationships you see, and that's anywhere, is they built together.
yeah, right,
At
right,
least the relationships I've seen in my own life, my family,
right.
they built together. Nobody had it all together, and then it's just you build together. and you see each other grow and you can appreciate that growth.
So
And yeah,
so question. So submission. What does that word mean to you? And is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
I think submission is uh, biblically speaking is a form of discipline for yourself that helps you stay in line with a vision, a goal, a mission. So, like it says in Ephesians, husbands submit to God and wives submit to your husbands. So that doesn't mean I'm subservient, but there's an order to everything. If I'm cooking a cake, I'm not gonna put raw eggs in the oven and expect the cake to come out
Why not?
because there's an order to things. And so there is a certain step and process that has to go in order to make this yummy, delicious cake. In a relationship, there's a step and a process, and the things have to mix together in order to make a beautiful result. So it's not a matter of you being better than me or me being subservient to you, but sub is a form of saying, hey, I'm putting myself in discipline and in line with your vision and your heart and your goals as you equally put yourself in line and discipline to what God has for us as a
So
family.
so everybody's submitted to
Everybody
somebody.
is submitting to something. And whether you believe in submission or not, you submitted to that paycheck, you submitted to that job, you
And
submitting
what do you
to
mean by submitting to a paycheck? What does that mean?
that means you're going to do what you need to do and get up and go to work or do whatever it is to get some money in your pocket so that you can have what it is that you want. I want a successful
So
marriage, so
submission.
I'm going to discipline myself to do what it takes to have that. I want my husband to be successful, so I'm going to do what I need to do in order for you to be successful, and you're going to do what you need to do in order to be successful.
Right.
So
So submission is discipline, and it's a good thing or bad.
it's a good thing.
That's another take that I don't hear much, and I get it. First of all,
Because I think it's been taken out of context.
okay,
It's I think in times past and even in the church, it has been weaponized like many things. Christianity itself was weaponized and used as a tool for enslavement outside of its context and purpose, just like the word submission. You can take anything and abuse it.
yeah.
And so I think the word was used to um, kind of browbeat women, especially at the time, to make them feel inferior to or less than their male counterparts. And again, we don't get into this competition thing. It was never a competition thing.
Right.
God put Adam to sleep and took Eve out of his rib to make a helper, a partner. He didn't make. He didn't say, Eve, you're Adam's slave now.
Yeah.
He said, come alongside and help him.
Right.
And it wasn't there was still order, but it wasn't a matter of her being less than ever. And you
Yeah.
see that throughout the Bible. The God didn't. There are many examples of God not treating women as less than. He used them as prophets. He used them as uh, examples of salvation. Like Esther helped save the whole nation of Israel. It's like
Yeah.
that he used women throughout the Bible for multiple things um, that changed the course of history.
So yeah.
Rahab, Deborah, Abigail, Sarah, even with Moses. I mean,
So when you sharing these examples, and we'll have listeners that don't know the Bible. They don't know these stories, and
mm-hmm,
so when you just talking about the context, you know, a woman is not inferior
right,
and forced to submission so that she can be controlled and manipulated and abused and all these different things, right?
right,
You're saying it's a discipline, and I would definitely agree with that because it's a choice,
mm-hmm,
right? Um, and that's probably not an easy choice. I know it's not an easy choice for me to always submit to God's will. Sometimes I want to do my own thing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that submission. What I found is that with that submission, I actually find more peace. I actually find more uh, production. I
Mm-hmm.
find more joy in my life when I submit doing things His way instead of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten into more issues and more trouble with trying to do things my way
Mm-hmm.
and being, I guess you would say, hard headed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to compare that, I guess, to a woman being hard headed to a husband, but I mean, we talking about submission. We are, I mean, if we get really to cut to the chase of it, it really is a matter of, okay, this is, if there is a disagreement, somebody's going to have the final say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already either agreed upon or it's going to be fought for who's going to have the last say, you know?
Mm-hmm. And also with
But
the understanding that, like, I know there's all these preconceived notions and ideas regarding women and their role once they get married as a wife. And I think what gets lost in translation is there are still, um, with the role of a husband, there are things that come along with that too.
yeah,
And you should be ready to be a husband, not just I want a wife,
that's right.
I want a mother to my kids. No, no,
Hmm.
no, no. You have to be ready to be a husband too.
That's
You're
right.
not just a man getting a wife. You have to prepare yourself also to be a husband.
And
And
it's
what
hard
that
work.
means is, yeah, you have to consider her. You have to consider your kids. You have to consider what's best for the unit and be willing to do what's necessary.
That's leadership. What you
It's
talk, yeah,
leadership.
what you talking about is leadership. And so we're not talking about a selfish individual that wants to dictate and everybody is catering to his leadership. It's actually it's actually service. Leadership is a service. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, I look at this house and everybody is above me. Everybody is a part of the thought process to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's my thought process. I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about the kids, and I might not be thinking about myself.
Yeah, same.
And that's my duty. My duty